Hello again, friends. This is Saikar. I'm playing FTL. This is my Kestrel run on easy. I was asked to do this by a couple friends that I don't want to judge any one of them because they haven't made any of these comments collectively, but some of them have a lot of difficulty with this game. They seem to feel that it's largely based on luck and that your choices kind of don't matter, and you either get a good run and do awesome or you get a bad run and you get screwed. I'm trying to disprove this notion, but I admit it's not going particularly well because I'm kind of in one of those do a good run and do awesome kind of situations. But this is my first shot on this. It's not like I've recorded a bunch of videos that I just blew up every time and then this is my one good run. I mean, I just turned the recorder on and started recording, and this is how things have gone. So I'm not going to apologize for doing well, but neither do I feel that it was kind of inevitable that this could have just gone badly and I would have been fighting tooth and nail. I had a good start and I've capitalized on it well, and I'm just continuing to kind of snowball. Once again, the scrap recovery arm, this has already paid for itself. Just the fact I've gotten that twice, the thing only cost 50 in the first place. And that event can give you nothing, or it can give you like a pirate fight, or probably something can hit you and do damage. So, wow, I'm really running out of fuel. I'm gonna have to start considering surrender offers to give me fuel. Alright, a Mantis ship without a teleporter. How disgraceful. Looks like they've got some burst lasers. They have a similar setup to me, not that it did them much good. Started to dodge a little bit. As I get more dodges in engines, it'll be easier to dodge, and I'll be dodging more, like I said at the end of the last video. They didn't offer to surrender. They gave me one fuel, which will keep me moving. When you're running out of fuel, I recommend jumping forward as much as possible. You can always turn on the distress beacon and hope for the best, and after a couple events, that'll get you something. Getting a lot of scrap, but there's a store. Alright, so I can jump here, and then I'll jump to that store and buy a bunch of fuel. Yeah, not much has happened in the sector so far. I only had the one fight. Unfortunately, that's how these civilian sectors go. Wow, that's a lot of guns. And they're all low-level guns. Most of those missiles will probably fire before I can shut them down. Also, they're... Oh, for frick's sake. Why? Yeah, there go the missiles. Darn it. Both of them hit. I mean, I guess mathematically that was likely, but it's still irritating. Alright, I was focusing more on the melee there, but I see I've managed to take one of their weapons offline. He'll be fine. And they warp out anyway. Okay. You can see there that that quickly said no pilot, and my evasion momentarily dropped to 0. You never ever want to take your pilot out of piloting station in combat, ever. And the only reason I did so right there is because I had someone immediately ready to run to that room. Sorry, Swamps, I don't need you. Even though you're good at combat, which is roles I already have filled on this ship, unfortunately I just don't need another guy. Are you really going to try to teleport? No. Alright. See, they've only got the one crew member left. If I had some way of striking crew directly without doing damage to their ship, I might have been able to cause him some trouble. But I don't. Let's go to the store. I'm mainly going to the store for fuel, but again... Yeah, alright, this is a good store. This is a good store. Alright, I was only able to get 4 fuel. That might become a problem at some point. I'm not happy with my fuel situation at all. Wow, this is a great store. Let's think of weapons first. Breach missile. This is your slow damage Kathunk missile. It does very high damage. And a 4. 4 is the highest damage a missile can do. And it has a high chance of breaching, which means that a hole will be opened in the enemy's hull, which will suck out oxygen, and if they want to repair the room, they have to fix the hole first. And since you're doing 4 damage, whatever you hit will be really screwed up. This isn't a terrible weapon to buy, because it's effective against the flagship. You can fire a breach missile into the individual weapon rooms and take them offline relatively quickly. With that said, I don't need to do that on this ship because I've got 2 Mantis, which means I can use the crew teleporter. So I'm going to buy the crew teleporter. Do I want to buy it now? Alright, well, I'm going to buy the crew teleporter at some point. Here I changed my tune. I'm going to buy the crew teleporter at some point, but I don't think I'm going to buy it now because I've got so much scrap. I might as well buy the stuff that will help me not take damage in fights. And I think either of these two would help more. Drone control let me shoot down those pesky missiles, so I'm going to go with that for now. There's also the drone recovery arm. This is a rare and powerful augment. If you're going to go with drones, you want this, because it lets you recover drones you use. Like if I put out a defense drone at the end of the combat, it'll be gone. But if I have the drone recovery arm, I can recover it, and so there's minimal loss. It might get shot down by a laser or something, but that doesn't happen all that often. This is a great augment to get on the NG-1 ship because it's heavily focused on drones. I don't think I need it on this ship. The automated reloader, on the other hand, is a flat 10% decrease to my laser barrages. Since that's the primary focus of this ship, this is a great augment to get. I'm going to buy that without any hesitation. The only hesitation that appeared was because I was just explaining my options. So now I've got 3 augments, and they're all good augments. These are actually my favorite 3 augments in the game. You get the shield bonus, you get the weapon bonus, and you get the scrap recovery arm. And I can sell that if I get a store before the end of the game and replace it with something else. I don't think they stack, actually. If I got another reloader or a shield booster, I don't believe they stack. I might be wrong on that one. I haven't really wikied this or anything. At this point, I don't think I'm going to use the Artemis, so I'm selling it. I've got enough for either of these, actually. It's tempting to buy them now, just because, hey, why not? I'm at the store. You kind of have to build the strategy around using the crew teleporter, and I'm not sure that's what I want to do with this ship. Cloaking, on the other hand, is really fire and forget. I'm going to buy the cloak for now. Okay, so I've got a bunch of stuff down here. Here's my cloak, here's my defense drone. I don't really have enough power without pulling stuff out. Why did I do that? So that drone will be gone. I went from 20 to 19, and I won't be able to go back to 20 without the drone recovery arm. In any event, this drone, in case you're not familiar, it will circle my ship and it will attempt to shoot down incoming missiles. It doesn't always work, but it works more often than not by a long shot, so that's a pretty effective missile defense. And the cloak, since I'm just pushing buttons at this point, it makes me... What does it make me do? It increases my evasion by 60, which at this point takes me from 30% to 90. That's not 100. People that buy the cloak think it makes you invincible. Sooner or later I will have 40 base evasion, so it'll take me to 100, and I will be invincible, but I don't have it yet, so there is a small chance things can land. While I'm in this stage, enemy weapons will not charge up. So this essentially lets me pause combat to my advantage. My own weapons will charge up, but the enemies will not. I've just kind of talked about those, but it's time to put them in practice. I don't know. I think that distress beacon's the one I don't want to go to, just because it would be hard to hit. But I can hit more or less all these other ones. So I'm going to just kind of putz around here and wait to get into some fights, and then I'm going to try to show you how these things work. Oh, perfect. Alright. Now they've decreased my evasion, which is irritating. So the cloak would only put me at 10 plus 60 for 70, and that's definitely better than 10, but it's not great. So instead of doing that, I'm going to put out a defense drone, and that will attempt to shoot down the missile they fire. I think I could probably just overwhelm their weapon systems and destroy the system before they can fire the missile. But I'm going to give my defense drone a shot here. Alright, they fired, it turns, and it intercepts the missile. That's more or less how it's gonna go. Defense drones are the only active missile defense you have, period. The passive one being the evasion, and so my cloak will definitely help me dodge missiles. More so when my engines aren't almost completely offline. But other than that, they will almost always land, and in the early game, you just get pummeled by the damn things. Wow, that's a lot of fuel. That's exactly what I needed. I've mentioned it a couple times, but I'm pretty convinced that the 1 damage missile is the single most powerful weapon in the enemy's arsenal, because it's so friggin' fast to fire. It just fires and it fires and it fires and it fires and it fires. And at the beginning of the game, you got like 15% evasion, so they're more or less all gonna land. Do I have anything to gain here? I could lose a crew member, but I've got so many crew, I kinda don't care. And once again, my luck pays off. I've actually done pretty well on these random events. 64 scrap was more or less exactly what I needed from that, so I feel okay about that. Alright, minor upgrades. Let's keep moving. I think we're about done with this sector. I've got a store on the way out, which is great. Surrender after goods. Oh, this is one of those ships that if you can manage to kill the crew, or kill the, like by boarding or whatever, you can get a guaranteed reward. I don't think I can do that. And keep in mind the enemy's FTL is charging immediately. They do not want to be here. They want nothing to do with me. So if I don't disable that, they will get away. Alright, they fired their missile. I'm going to activate my cloak. Note my evasion's now at 90%. And dodge. But that might not have happened. Now here's one problem with the cloak. Every time you fire a weapon while you're cloaked, it decreases the amount of time you can remain cloaked. So I'm going to fire my Ion Blast here, and you can see that timer thing immediately took a hit. Man, I am not able to disable their charging. There we go. I finally destroyed their engines entirely, so now they cannot FTL out. It's the same rules as you. You cannot jump out of combat if you're piloting and your engines are offline. Well, you have a high chance of not getting the reward when you destroy the enemy ship like this, but in this case I did get it anyway. It's something I already have. I can't see the advantage of ever having 2 of these. And so, I'm going to immediately sell it at this store. Alright. Let's see here. I can get the teleporter, that's the 3rd augment. Buy the 3 measly fuel. I'm still not happy about my fuel. I could go drones or something, but I don't really need to. I'm not doing a boarding ship, and I'm not beam drones. They're okay. This actually is a pretty good ship for a beam drone, but I don't want to waste my drone parts. I'm kind of happy with that only being a missile defense. It's the one weakness this ship has right now, is just missiles. Otherwise I can shield everything else. Are any of these weapons good enough to make it in my 3rd slot? This is a much lower cooldown than the breach missile. The other one was like 22 seconds. This is 14. But 3 power is still awful expensive. Heal bombs are surprisingly good for boarding ships. It's tempting to do that, actually. I'm just going to buy the crew teleporter. Now I've got all 3, and so I don't have to worry about finding those before the end of the game. It's really tempting to buy this, because if you fire it off into a room you're boarding, you immediately heal yourself, but not the enemy. So if I send those 2 mantis over there to screw up people's day, I can heal them with this. Gimmicky strategy, not... And the more I talk about it out loud, the less I want to do it. So I'm not going to do that. I will board an enemy ship if it looks super tempting, just to kind of show how boarding works. But I'm not gonna... There's so many ways it can go wrong, and this is a great ship for destroying enemy ships. My ship is. It's very effective at destroying the enemy. It's not so good at kind of putzing around letting boarders do their thing. Hey, cool. I'll buy that 6 fuel. Alright, so I got a bunch of fuel. I'm done with the civilian sector. Let's go to the rebel stronghold! Yeah! Alright, so this is a hostile sector. Rebels are actually pretty well-equipped ships. They don't have any racial bonuses, though, which is nice. What the hell? How do you get to the exit? I guess you have to go... You have to go either to the top or the bottom. Alright, I'll keep that in mind if I'm running out of time. Always try to plan out your route. It's easy to get stuck in a corner. Alright, I've added a quest marker. I guess I can go down there. Also, when jumping, try to jump to nodes that have the most connections. That way, you can only see distress beacons and stores when you're one jump away from them. Since I jumped here, I can see both of these. If I would have jumped here, I still would have gone down this way in 2 jumps, but I wouldn't have known... I guess I would have known this distress beacon is here, but if anything would have been up here, I wouldn't have known about it. Kind of undermined my own point there. Again with this event, I feel like I'm pressing my luck. I don't need the scrap right now, so I'm not gonna... You can lose a crew member, even though I'm flush with crew. I kind of like them all. I know they're not really doing anything. Oh look, it was a trap. Get used to quests being traps, by the way. Alright, so now I gotta be slightly subtle with this. The heavy laser does 2 damage, so I want that to be firing after I batter through their shields, so I get the full brunt of those 2 damage against their hull. The missile fired. If you pause the game immediately after the missile fires, there's still time to react. I think this battle's gonna be over more quickly than not, so I'm gonna just cloak. Like I said, it's not 100%. It was the right choice, but that's still irritating. So are they ever gonna level up? If these guys level up, that'll be another 4 evasion, and then I can just put 1 into here and get the last evasion, and I'll have enough to be able to cloak up to 100%, which is what I want, because that was deeply annoying. Okay, so like I said, the enemies are pretty well equipped in this sector. They've got burst lasers, they've got a teleporting bomb, and it looks like they are boarding me. I want to stop them from being able to get in there. So I'm going to send the Mantis over. Yeah, there we go. And heck, I'll just send the NG too. Even though NGs get a damage penalty, they only do 50% damage as other races. Since he's not doing anything anyway, there's no reason to not have him join the fight. Oh no. Oh no. How are they doing? Not great. Alright, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do something a little silly. I'm gonna turn off all my weapons. I'm gonna heal these guys to full. And I'm gonna board them. If there was any risk of this, I wouldn't be doing it. If their ship was even on fire still, I wouldn't be doing it. Because that 3 hull can go away in a hurry, and if the ship is destroyed while your boarders are on it, they die too. However, I believe I can quickly decimate the enemy crew without any real risk here. 3 down, 1 to go. And see, like I keep saying, if you kill enemy crews, you get massive rewards. Look at this, 70 scrap a combat drone? Sure, that's awesome. I'll go with it. If you want to do boarding ships, I recommend experimenting a little bit like this. They're a lot of fun, and there are some base design ships that focus specifically on boarding. Mantis designs mostly. So if you unlock the Mantis ship, I recommend getting Mantis 2 as soon as you can, because Mantis 2 it comes with a 4-person teleporter. And 4 crew teleporters let you just send massive waves of not enemies, your guys, onto the enemy ships to kill them all. And then you can do cool stuff like use that heal bomb that I passed up, or you can use a fire bomb and set the enemies on fire if you've got rockmen that are immune to fire. Not that this strategy keeps working for me, that's how the pumice died. So they've got an attack drone that will try to batter through my shields. However, really at the moment, they're not doing much other than just giving me cheap experience. They dodged a lot of those. I'm not okay with that. Alright, I still don't feel I'm in any actual danger. And really all this is doing is very rapidly giving me skill. In fact, if you're a little cheap, here's one thing you can do. When you're in a fight where the enemy has no way of hurting you, simply stop attacking. Look at this. He will never break through my shields, and he's doing nothing but giving me shield and evasion skill. And just kind of rolling in. This is so weak, but I'm in such a good position. Hey, why not? How are they doing? He's almost up to piloting. Oof, well there's... Alright. Doobie-doo. Alright, that's probably good enough. And if you're really not happy with how the fight's going, you can stay there long enough to max everyone out. Hell, you could even take people off other stations and put them on other stations and level them up too. Like if I, for some reason, wanted a backup pilot, I could take Simple off there and put Niels or whoever and let him gain the experience. Since I'm in no danger, it doesn't really matter how long the fight goes on. It's not like the rebels are going to catch me while I'm just sitting there. So, hey, I mean, I don't do that because other than making boring videos, I feel it's a form of kind of gaming too much. You're just taking advantage of how the game mechanics work to your favor without really earning it. It's not really how I play, but I'm not going to judge anybody that wants to do that. Do whatever you need to do to win the game, really. Look how fast these burst lasers are charging up these days. I could have cloaked that, but I didn't. It's got so much scrap. I don't see myself buying anything anytime soon either. So when you're in that kind of position, there's not much reason not to continue to upgrade your ship. I'm gonna get with that last big gains evasion. I'm gonna put one more into teleport and one more into cloak. When you generally want 2 levels into these for reasons that I haven't explained, but hopefully I will. How does that make my ship look? It's okay. I'd have to pull a bunch of power out of stuff to get anything else offline. I'm gonna sit with this for now. Why do you want 2 of these? Well, I'll get into a fight and I'll show you. Oh man, another one of these. The additional power in teleporter reduces the cooldown. If you're planning on boarding enemy ships, you want that faster cooldown so you can pull your boarders off the enemy ship if possible. The key to running a successful boarding ship is to know when to run. This is something you don't have to worry about as much in the advanced edition of the clone bay, but there's no real reason to let your guys die if you can avoid it. Because, I mean, if nothing else, you lose the skill. With the clone bay, that is. With the med bay setup, you do lose the crew member forever, and that forever is a long time. So you don't want to be doing that. So having 2 levels of the teleporter can make it can make that much of a difference between you being able to teleport your wounded crew off and the timer just not being up. I'm fighting a lot of drones. Are these beam drones? That's not a beam drone. Why do you want 2 in here? Because it doubles. You get 5 seconds of cloak for every point you've got in there. Didn't really go that well, did it? So instead of being able to cloak for 5 seconds, I'd be able to cloak for 10. That gives you a lot more leeway with fighting enemies that don't exactly have their weapons synced perfectly. If they fire one weapon, then fire another one a few seconds later, the longer cloak can make it so you can dodge that. You get the same bonus at level 3 as you do in level 2 for both of these. it decreases the cooldown of the teleporter further, and it lets you cloak longer. However, I find you at a certain point you kind of get diminishing returns. You don't really often need that short of a teleporter duration. You don't often need that long of a cloak. Oh, you kidding me with this. Alright. I'll see your... First off, let me show you. Note my weapons aren't charging. This is what happens when you're fighting cloaked ships. Their weapons were charging, but now they're not. Now, neither of us are doing anything, and this battle's really stupid. Looks like they had a level 2 cloak, too. So, we kind of just awkwardly cloaked at each other. They've got 3 shields here, so what I'm going to do is pull off enough power to put out a combat drone. This thing will help batter down their shields. That'll make it so more of my lasers get through. Wow. Come on, go! I guess it didn't hit. I want to take out that cloak because it's so stupid. Nope, didn't do it in time. And once again, my weapons aren't charging. And now their weapons aren't charging. And this fight's amazing. Now see, my weapons are now charging again, but theirs aren't. But if I were to fire them, my cloak would end immediately. Since I have nothing to gain from my cloak not ending, I'm just gonna do it. This ship has surprisingly good evasion. Most of my shots are missing. Oh, that's on fire. Let's take these random engines I've got sitting around and put out that fire. Alright, this has kind of ceased to be hilarious. What happened to my... Why is he offline? Oh, because the system was damaged, that's right. Alright, get him back moving. I already paid for him anyway. Can't get a refund. Like I said, there's no drone recovery armor. I don't really need the cloak. They pose so little threat to me. Let's stop firing for a minute. Let these cooldowns get back to sync here. Boom. So yeah, you can see that fight went on much longer than it needed to. That's kind of a mini flagship fight right there. That's how the flagship tends to go. They cloak, and then they've got high evasion, and between the cloaks, you don't really do a lot of damage, and then they can heal up their ship because they can cloak again, and then you can't hurt them, and their crew runs around and repairs this damage you did. And it can take forever. Ever and ever and ever. And I think a lot of people use a lot of resources on the first flagship because well, for one, they expect the game to be over when they win it, but for two, it just takes a long time, and so you have to fire a bunch of missiles, and your crews are not in great positions. But in any event, this is end of Sector 6, so I'm going to cut this video here and then immediately record the next one after it, but you guys have to wait and I don't. So, until tomorrow, I suppose, take care.